I think we tend to think that we have to go abroad to the global south to really make a difference. But yes, I think there are many challenges to face and too much work to do there. But there are many challenges also here, and they are just different. But this doesn't mean that they don't exist.
Good morning, everyone. It's Gianpaolo here, and I collaborate with the Rethinking Climate, which is a youth-led association involved in the fight against climate change, and more specifically on the way this delicate issue is discussed. Today, we have the pleasure to have with us Lucia. Hi, Lucia.
Hi, thank you so much for inviting me to this interview. I'm very happy to participate in this project.
Thank you. It's a pleasure for us. Lucia is a project support officer for FIDU, which is a national organization that promotes the protection of human rights, monitor and report their violation, create greater awareness in public opinion, and exert influence on the states so that they comply with their own commitments and obligations on human rights. So, Lucia, upon this premise, would you please elaborate more on what, according to you, makes FIDU different from other organizations which are working on human rights issues?
I think that an added value is for sure that, as the name indicates, the Italian Federation for Human Rights is a federation. So this means that it's formed by local committees, by federation associations and partners that do an extremely important job in the field. This means that the right, for example, reports giving voice to people that, because of a particular situation of their country, let's say, for example, an authoritarian regime, they don't, or better, they have, but they can't have voice. FIDU give them that voice. Also, FIDU works for both victims' defense and justice. So it fights to make sure that those who commit violations do not go unpunished, and I think this is extremely important. Therefore, I think that the methodology that they have, their action and presence in certain areas, thanks to solid partners, as I said, in the field, and their respect for human rights, but also the promotion for new and better tools, also to share a message to all of us, are the strengths of the Federation. To campaign the abolition of slavery, which is still practiced, unfortunately, in various parts of the world, and in particular in some regions of Mauritania, FIDU produced a documentary film directed by Marco Piantoni called L'asino che vola, which in English is The Flying Donkey. Briefly, the docu-film starts with the history of the country, shows the struggles of a non-violent movement against slavery led by Biram Da Abeid. And this docu-film has been screened in many cities in Italy, amongst them in my hometown, in Terni, where we have seen the participation of a lot of people. For example, in my town, there was the presence of more than 150 people. So as you can see, this tool, for example, as many others that FIDU has, reach out the public and is a very good instrument to raise awareness about important topics like the slavery in this case.
Thank you for this overview. It's very, very interesting, the work you do all together, and it's very important and compelling as well, of course. We know that you are specifically working on a project, which is the Communication Youth Engagement for Communicating the European Union. Could you tell us a bit more about this project from your personal perspective? What are your experiences on it?
Yes, sure. I will start saying that in the last few years, we all have witnessed how disinformation in and outside the European Union became a very important issue with defined consequences. For example, national populism and polarization of opinions. And we have seen how fake news, especially in this, with the vaccination campaigns against COVID, for example, fake news and disinformation spread quickly, undermining our confidence in the very concepts of truths, facts, and reality. So the project CommEUnication, which is funded by the Europe for Citizens program of the European Union, is implemented by a consortium composed of 7 civil society organizations across Europe. So there is FIDU in Italy, and its partners in Belgium, in Bulgaria, in Greece, in Ireland, and in Portugal and France. The projects aims at countering Euroscepticism through the construction of a new strategy of communication able to respond to the needs of the European community, as well as to promote a deeper understanding of the European Union, specifically its values and the benefits, in order also to encourage citizens to increase their engagement as European citizens and to tackle disinformation. And this is useful for all of us. So the project started with a survey that was recently conducted with the aim to get a better and broader understanding of the disinformation phenomenon of the EU and to better respond to the actual needs of the European citizens. So we had around 1,000 respondents, of which almost 300 of them were Italians. So the results were very interesting, and at least for what concerns Italy, shows that, for example, one of the data is that 73% of respondents voted in the last parliamentary elections, but less than 10% of them know sufficiently the current European agenda priorities. So this is just an example of the contradiction that has been shown with this survey and the gaps that there are amongst us. But if you check our webpage, you can find the report with all the data results, and it's very interesting to see. So upon such analysis of the results, in order to fill the information gaps that we have found and to facilitate civil and democratic participation in European policy making, we are delivering right now local trainings. Actually, our partners in Greece and France are already delivering their trainings, and they were very successful according to the participants. And on January, just around the corner, we will deliver our local training in Rome at the Federation head office from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So we will discuss the policies and mechanisms of the European Union to fight disinformation specifically. And the event will be divided into 2 sessions, a theoretical one and a more interactive one, which will be useful for the next step of the project that I'm going to talk about. Also, for our local training, I would like to say that the call for expression of interest is open in our website. So if there is someone interested to apply, can be done until the 2nd of January. Such trainings are preparatory, as I was saying before, to the final phase of the project, which are 2 creative labs where young creative professionals selected on voluntary basis are asked to shape ideas developed during the 2nd session of the training, so the interactive one, into new ways of communicating Europe. Finally, we arrived to the last part of the project. The final media output will be presented in the last final event that will take place in Brussels. and then distributed through all available channels for a considerable multiplier effect in order to be used from anyone at every level to communicate Europe effectively.
It sounds a very meaningful project, meaning that it covers lots of fields, and it's very interesting. So I would like to ask you now, throughout this work on such a project, what are the main difficulties that you came across on one end, and on the other end, what are the pleasant surprises, the positive things that you didn't expect to find, but eventually you did?
Okay, thank you. These are very interesting questions, actually. I guess that probably coordinating partners from several countries for on-site events, because we have to do on-site events right now in a pandemic, the most difficult thing. In general, coordinating and maintaining relations with several partners is not easy. Because there can be, for example, misunderstanding, delays in the replies, and any type of inconvenience that is out of control, right? So basically, with the pandemic, this problem increased, mostly because containment measures are applied differently. So differently in countries, I mean, so you have to be able to adapt the changing situation and have always backup plans to make the project running smoothly and respect deadlines. For example, the trainings have to be on site, but for example, some of the countries we're working with, they have already containment measures, so we have to do mixed mode or online sessions. So the interactive part is the most difficult one, to do it by Zoom, WebEx, or any of these tools. The positive things, I would say, and I had no doubt about it, but you know, never know, are that we have a wonderful relation with the partners, and we are all very motivated on this project. They are all young, creative people, and there is a constant exchange of ideas, advices, best practices, which are very, very useful for the project, and this helped to run a project properly. I guess this is the nice surprise, it's the positive one.
From a very personal viewpoint, what were in the very beginning of your career the motivation that pushed you to embark on this experience?
Okay, I will try to be exhaustive with this answer, because I guess my motivation brings me back to 10 years ago, so it's a very long time. Let's say that I'm passionate about humanitarian work, and I've built my career in the study of protection of human rights, mostly with families in refugee protected forced displacement context of Europe and Middle East. So I have run away from Italy 10 years ago, as I was saying before, when I was 18, and I've always been in the field between Kenya, Malta, Jordan, and Spain for my studies. So when I came back here from Jordan, was due to the outspread COVID, and I decided to dedicate my time and interest also to topics related to my country. Because I think we tend to think that we have to go abroad to the global south to really make a difference and help. But and yes, I think there are many challenges to face and too much work to do there. But there are many challenges also here, and they are just different. But this doesn't mean that they don't exist. At the same time, I have always wanted to see how advocacy works, and as I said before, I think FIDU in this sense has a strong methodology, effective action, and presence, and it raised my interest to volunteer with them and to support them with these projects that I really like, and I'm happy about it. yeah, so I think this is my motivation.
Thanks a lot. You sound very motivated, and we all appreciate your work and FIDU's work in general. Again, it's very interesting and compelling what you all do. So thank you very much, Lucia.
Thank you. Thank you.
I thank the audience. Follow us on social media, put like on YouTube, and see you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.